Good morning, everybody. It's Nick. I got up this morning and I wanted to talk about the circumstances we're all facing, because yesterday in particular, I really felt a sense of very deep-seated fear from a lot of the people that I saw. And I guess I'm thinking, you know, what can we all do to help each other through this? Because this is very much about us getting through this together, which is somewhat of a paradox given the fact that a lot of people are self-isolating, and actually we need to keep our distance from each other physically in order to try and get through this as best as we can. But that doesn't mean we can't support each other in other ways. So I think the first thing is that these are unprecedented times. We are very much stepping into the unknown, and it is a perfectly natural thing to feel scared. But I think the real trick is not to get caught up in that fear and allow that fear to control us and to control our actions. And obviously a big example of that is the panic buying we're seeing. So the best analogy I've got, and it's something I use most days in my life, is that when you're climbing a mountain, you don't look at the top, you look at the next step. And right now, none of us may be able to see the way through this, you know, not from a physical perspective in terms of keeping well, in terms of a systematic perspective, will the healthcare system cope, in terms of how people are going to be able to protect their livelihoods. Lots of things I think will change as we go through this. So we can't see the whole way, so let's not be overwhelmed by that. And just like when you're climbing a mountain, I think we should look at the next best step. And for me, that's really taking each day at a time, and actually not looking too far ahead, because I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to be crippled by fear, and I don't want to have my actions driven by fear, because I don't think that kind of negative energy is going to be in any way, shape or form helpful. We are in this together. We have to think beyond I. So if you're scared, please allow that to flow through you, but don't let it control you. And for me, that means, you know, we're being very clear on the fact we will not panic buy. Because what I say to myself is I panic buy. If I buy things, not because I need them, so if I, you know, I'm doing my normal weekly shop or I'm buying my normal things, but if I'm stockpiling out of fear, I'm actually stealing something from somebody else. And it takes me back to the war years and the rations. You know, the worst thing in the world you could do was take somebody else's ration. We have to share the suffering amongst us so that the few don't suffer more than the majority. So my first plea would, please don't panic buy. I think my second plea is, please don't buy into the fear and allow yourself to become overwhelmed by it. And for me, a great thing I do is I just look at the next best step. I think the other thing as well is in our times of, when you look through history, and I love history actually, I really do, I'm completely intrigued by it. But in the times of our greatest adversity have been the times when we have made our greatest discoveries. We have achieved the greatest solutions. We have come together as the greatest community, and the strength of the human spirit has shone more brightly than we ever thought it could. We have achieved the seemingly impossible. You know, my granddad was, there's a story he told us many times, but my granddad was one of the guys on the beach at Dunkirk, and he had a bullet in his knee, he couldn't get up and walk, and he was brought home by some local fishermen. So, you know, I really do believe in the strength of the human spirit, and that when we come together, we can really achieve some fantastic things. And I think the other thing as well is that it is important to keep our heads. You know, I've actually got I just looked up, I think I've moved it, one of the old posters from the war years, you know, that says, you know, keep calm and carry on. You know, our fortitude and determination will get us through. And I think we need to remember just what resilient, adaptable, creative and innovative beings we are. That's why we've evolved. That's why we've survived this long. You know, we can do this. You know, if we pull together, we can do this. If we can pour our energy into our creativity and our innovation and our ability to be able to face these challenging and sufferings, we can do this. Now, I know we have spent, I've certainly spent the vast majority of my life living in this, in the world the way it is, being able to avoid suffering and being able to avoid discomfort, because that's the way we set our world up. And of the, you know, the disease and the war and the poverty has for me been a lot at arm's length, and I think for a lot of us it's been at arm's length. So this is unprecedented in terms of, this is something that is right, you know, it's in our lives. This is affecting us very, very directly. And yes, there's a period of adjustment we will need to go through, but we will adjust, because that's what we are really, really, really good at. We will adjust and we will be able to cope with this. And, you know, some of it I also think as well is we perhaps just need to go back to simplifying things. And I'm not sure that that's not necessarily bad for any of us. So, you know, a lot of people are self-isolating. A lot of us will be spending much, much more time at home than we have done, and much more time actually as a family than we have done. But we do have this world of wonderful technology. You know, we do have social media, which can be used for the good. We've all got phones. We can all have virtual chats all day long with people. I think particularly video chats are wonderful. It's a wonderful way to connect. I do it an awful lot anyway, because, you know, I live out in the sticks. I think another thing, you know, is I'm really immersing myself in Mother Nature. So, you know, getting out there for a walk, and just, I think there is something about just immersing yourself in something that's bigger than ourselves, and just doing these things that can keep you grounded and can keep the panic and the fear away. And yes, obviously it's really important that we keep up on what's happening, but please be very discerning about what you choose to read. Please choose to read things that are very fact-based, very evidence-based, and actually have a practical can-do element to them, because getting swamped and pulled into a very fear-based doom and gloom is such a waste of our energy. And we need all of our energy. We need each and every one of us to come together as we need to shoulder the suffering together. We need to look after the vulnerable. We need to reassure each other, and we need to be able to keep our heads and put our positive energy into being able to rise to this challenge, which I absolutely believe we can, and to help each other through it on the bad days, because, you know, there will be days when I'm overwhelmed by this, and you are, and everybody else. And you know what? They are the days when, you know, albeit virtually, we need to be there for each other, to come together to say, you know what? Let's focus on what we can do here. Let's focus on the next best step. Let's focus on belief in the human spirit. This is a massive cause. It's a massive call to action for all of us. We can rise to this challenge. We can come together as collective human beings. And, you know, I genuinely believe we can find a way through it, albeit unknown, albeit unprecedented, albeit that we might not know the answer at the minute. We do know what the next best steps are, so let's take them. Stay safe, take care of each other, albeit virtually, be there for one another, and please don't allow the fear and panic to close you down and isolate you. Okay, so I hope everybody has a great day in the best way that they can. Stay safe and lots of love. Take care. Bye.